Welcome back. This is the Intel. I'm in conversation with the CEO of Sassa, that's Totsi, Memela-Khambula, as well as Brenda, Sibeko, who is the Deputy Director General at the Social Development Department. Thank you. Let's continue this conversation, ladies. Totsi, Memela-Khambula, the issue of the quantum that, the amounts that are involved, South Africans, you'll hear debates from time to time. What can you buy with 350 rand? What can you buy with, just over 500 rand, etc., etc.? I believe that the World Bank report talks to that.
It does indeed talk to that. The quantum may be a challenge, but for a person who's got nothing, the 350 is between nothing and putting some kind of food over on the table. Because when you look at the poverty line, it doesn't address even the lowest poverty line, because there the expectation is that you should have just below 600 rands. So it doesn't address that either. But when you look at some of the exciting things that other people have done with that 350 rands, you find a young man who's actually established an ice cream shop. From the 350 rand, you find a woman in Free State who has started a furniture shop out of the 350. And I think the opportunity we have is, what is it that we need to do as a country to teach people how to fish rather than only give them a fish? And I appreciate the argument raised by Brenda to say it is never only just a giving money. It's an investment, because if we didn't put that 350 on the table, or any other grant, including the 440 that we give for a child support grant, it would mean that the people remained between nothing and that 350. Yes, it may not be enough, but it does make a difference in the lives of those people that actually have nothing.
And there are phenomena there that come through, phenomena such as people who live in households with other people who receive grants, the pooling of grants, and also, the sharing of benefits of the grant.
Because when you look at it, you may in the past have looked at the elderly person getting the 1,800. And that would have been the only amount of money coming into a house where you may have 4 or 5 people that are unemployed. Those people are now getting the 350. And when you add it to the children support and you add it to the elderly person's grant, it therefore goes a long way. And we should be looking at opportunities of how do we actually provide support to those families so that we can look at it holistically? Because when you look at what government is doing with all these different grants, but because we don't look at it systematically and say, what is the contribution to each and every family that we provide support for in terms of the food that may be provided through the school nutrition program, the electricity that may be provided, the water that may be provided, so that we can see as to where are the gaps, so that we can provide holistic support where there actually are existing gaps. And I think that's the opportunity that we have. Leakage does exist, and I think the COVID 350 has given us huge opportunities in terms of learnings, because now we've got databases from other institutions, something we didn't have in the past. We recently had to actually cancel a number of grants of people that were receiving grants, yet they were actually working for the state. The opportunity we have there is now we're going to have to reassess those people, because actually many of them were not defrauding the system. They actually do qualify for the other grants, but may not qualify for a 350.
For this specific one.
For this specific one. But if, for example, you are on a program for government and you are below the income threshold, you do qualify. If you have a child that is extremely disabled, you also do qualify. And that is the opportunity that this 350 has created.
So I'm almost completely out of time. While you talk about these opportunities and the integration, that's being one of them, it also talks to some of the observations that are, as I say, not necessarily something you would want to celebrate at the moment. Brenda, Sibeko, let me start with you then and ask you about the whole situation where the coverage is said to be great for people who are elderly, people who are disabled, and children and their parents and caregivers, but nothing in between. What's your thinking then on how to plug that gap? Is it too big or not too big?
Too big or not too big? I would say it's too big plus. You see, I think there's a false dichotomy that has been created around income support for people who are able to work. Our view, at least from DSD side, that's why the minister even started talking about a basic income grant, is that we think, job search costs money. You don't fly to a job interview. You need internet to be able to send your CV, to be able, you need some basic money to be able to function in the society. So giving that does not mean then you don't need a job or you are not going to get a job. You see, the argument that has been made about if you give people money, then they will become lazy. It's an argument that has existed historically in many other countries, and that's why many countries have conditional grants. But the fact is that how you deal with the risk of people not wanting to work is where you pitch their money. You see, if our minimum income in the country, minimum wage is 3,500, and we start giving a grant of 3,500, of course, then why would I work and go and do some hard work if I can get the money without working? But a grant pitched at 350 rand, nobody can live on that. It's just to give you a start. It's important for people to at least have that, because otherwise they don't even have any mechanism of providing for themselves. The other key thing is about dignity and agency of people. So how do you, if you are an adult, a 30-year-old male who has nothing in your pocket and you don't even have money you have to ask other people, other poor people, by the way, to help you to have a bit of money to go and look for work. It's either we say, as a society, we have social solidarity, we assist one another, and we carry the burden of poverty together, or we say, poor households, you carry your own poverty, and you support one another with whatever you have. So for us, the income support is about it. It's about making sure that the nation as a whole carries the burden of poverty and helps those people who are unable to support themselves.
Right. Yeah. Ms. Memela-Khambula, final word to you. When you think about the weaknesses identified, that gap, that 18 to 59 working age, yet poor, unemployed, at least theoretically needs some kind of support, can't get access to UIF because I'm not employed, can't get access to the compensation fund, I'm not an employee, road accident fund, I would need to be hurt to actually have access to that. What's your thinking? Basic income grant or no basic income grant? The good thing is that now you are covered. Even the president has also raised the specter of the basic income grant.
I think we do need something in between to be able to provide that support, as indicated that those people between 18 and 59 have been receiving nothing. But for me, the biggest opportunity we have is linkage, to link the people who are providing, because what we found now that we're getting even more data is that 60% of the people who are providing the 352 are young people. And I think for me, it's a travesty because I don't think they also want to just be getting a grant. We need to find those opportunities and link people to opportunities that actually do exist, but they have to be created because currently they don't exist. But it's been a wonderful learning. There's a lot that we need to do to close the gaps and to make sure that those people that are actually not receiving the grant when they qualify, once we integrate our data as government, that for me will be a big plus.
A profile of the citizen.
Yes.
So that when you sit at Sassa and you sit at DSD and you know Thulasizwe Simelane, the other agencies, SARS, is able to say, no, but this guy shouldn't be getting a grant. Someone else is able to say, actually, if we took this guy through this path, they might enter the economy better. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. It's a huge opportunity we have.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for coming through. Totsi Memela-Khambula is the CEO of Sassa, the South African Social Security Agency, as well as Brenda Sibeko, a DDG at the Department of Social Development.